We've got a pretty tired and worn looking OS FS-120 Surpass engine here. You look at this thing. This thing is pretty dirty. Doesn't turn over very freely. So, I mean, it may be a fine engine that was just run in a strange way, but so I'm going to take a look inside this thing and see if we can't get it cleaned up and in operational condition again. I've already taken the screws off this carb. I'll put that there. Take this intake manifold off. See if the gasket is salvageable. Well, there's still a gasket there. Whether it's salvageable or not is unknown at this time. Let's go to the back plate next so we can get a good idea of what's going on inside this thing. Now, I didn't heat these screws up or oil them at all. The only thing I've done to this is I've sprayed it a couple times with some LA's Totally Awesome cleaner and took a toothbrush to it a little bit, only to find out that this kind of stuff is actually going to have to soak for quite some time because it's really baked on there. Now I might actually have to go, oh, okay, I won't have to go heat that up, but that gasket's gone. Whew. That doesn't look all that happy. It's pretty gummed up in there. So we're probably going to have to completely disassemble this engine, which is going to be real fun because I'll have to try and get that wrist pin out of the piston. And those of you who have opened up OS engines before, OS 4-stroke engines, know just how fun that can be. That could actually take me several days to try to get done. I'm probably going to have to go heat. So I'm going to take this outside, throw some heat on this, because I'm going to need help with these screws. I have a feeling things are about to start getting challenging here. Okay, so I've applied some heat to this. As you can see with my UV glove, it's a little bit hotter than I want to try and handle. The question now is, will these head screws want to loosen up? Well, that one didn't feel like it was very tight. That one snapped free. So did that one. That one was pretty loose. Here's a tough one here. May have to go and heat that up a little bit more. I don't think my key is long enough to get in there. Let's pull these push rods out. Maybe it is long enough to get down in there. I don't know. I'm going to go hit this a little bit harder here. So that's what she needed. She needed a little bit of heat. I've got the screws unscrewed. I haven't pulled them out yet because my grandson called, so I was on the phone with him unscrewing these at the same time, and I didn't want to catch that on video. So here come the screws, the head screws, so we'll get to see what's going on in here. There we go, there's the top of our piston. Boy, that's a huge piston. So as I like to do, let's do a reveal on the valves. Wow. Wow. This engine's got some runtime on it for sure. That's pretty nasty. Even the bottom of the valves feel pretty gross. Fortunately, I think this whole thing is going to have to be torn down and cleaned up nice and pretty before it can be sold. So that leaves me with the daunting task of getting this sleeve out. I'm not going to actually throw anything in parts cleaner yet. I want to work on just trying to get it all disassembled first. But before I do anything further here, I think I'm going to have to go out and give this thing another round of high heat. Before I do that, let me get this other O-ring out here. I have to do another round of really high heat to have any hopes of this cylinder sleeve coming out. So let's go do that. Okay, I got this thing extremely hot, and as you can see, the sleeve is coming out. Man. Okay, sleeve's out. The next trick is going to be attempt to extract that thing. Quite honestly, I don't think I've got a chance in hell of that wrist pin being hot enough or clean enough to even want to come out. And what I can do to test it is try and see if I can pull this connecting rod forward on it. And it doesn't look like it wants to move at all yet. If I can't move that connecting rod back and forth a little bit inside the piston, then I got no chance of that thing coming out. So I'm going to have to just spray stuff in there and go heat that area up specifically and see if I can't get that thing to loosen up a little bit. That's burning my hand big time. Well, as it usually goes, the Teflon piece that goes in the piston, the wrist pin, came out instead of the wrist pin, so this wrist pin's pretty big. In fact, it's so big that even this big wood screw won't go in there and grab that. I'm going to have to find something even larger than this to try and grab that pin with, and hope that when I do I can get it in there enough so I can actually pull this thing out. Pretty much everything rebuilding this engine hinges on my ability to get that thing out of there. And right now I'm not quite sure how I'm going to accomplish that. So let me go look for some more screws. Here's the status of this FS-120 Surpass engine. I've got it pretty much torn down. I'm really kind of still working on trying to get this wrist pin out. I haven't had any luck with that yet. It's not fully cleaned yet. It's pretty much just torn down as far as I can go until I get that wrist pin out. I am going to invest in an ultrasonic cleaner, so I'm going to give that a shot. Hopefully that'll vibrate and clean that wrist pin out some also, so I can try and get that out. Otherwise, I don't know how much I want to fight with this thing, since I've oiled this up and heated it up. The bearings feel much better. But like I said, I'm going to put it in an ultrasonic bath and clean it. But what I am going to do here is, these valves are pretty dirty and the stems look like they're pretty dirty, so I'm going to go ahead and drop the valves. Now the one thing I did have to do prior to that was, this thing had been sitting around for so long that when you would compress the spring, the collar or the keepers and the top would go down with the valve. So I kind of had to break that mechanical bond loose, and that's the point I'm at now. Now I'm just trying to find my 1/4-inch wrench again. I need to get a piece of paper towel to get up underneath here to hold these in place as I press down on it. So before, like I was saying, when I was pushing down on this, the whole collars and keepers would come with it, but now you can see they're free. So I'm going to do this with one hand and grab these guys with a magnet and then the top piece and these collars come right off. Then I can bring my spring off and do the same thing with this intake valve. I'll show you the difference here. When these, the intake and exhaust valve are a different size on this engine. So that's off. Spring's off, so now these valves should just pull straight out. So I'm just going to kind of gently pull that out. Actually, that didn't look as bad as I thought. Okay, here's the exhaust valve. This exhaust valve has got quite a lot of buildup on it. That's why I pull this thing out. I want to clean that off. The intake valve doesn't look too bad at all, but like I said, I'm going to go out and get a ultrasonic cleaner from Harbor Freight today. So I'm probably going to be trying to use that cleaner with many of these parts. I'm not sure if it's actually going to take all of that stuff off, or if I'm going to still have to do my normal thing where I soak it and then scrape it with a razor blade, but we'll see. So anyway, that's about as far as I'm going to get with this little segment of the video. Yeah, wow. Yeah, if you look in the top of that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it in there in the video or not, but if you look at the top of that cavity where the exhaust valve is, that's just horrible in there. And I'm hoping hope you can see how clean the intake side is. So if my ultrasonic cleaner does what it's supposed to do, this side, the exhaust side, should look just as clean as that. So that's going to be the first test for this cleaner. Can it actually clean things up like that? And if it does, then I've got a good tool to use for cleaning engines in the future. If not, then, well, we'll take that from there.